Hi, this is Kara. Welcome to Breaking Free Fridays. Welcome back if you've been following the series. I wanted to talk today about breaking free from fear. This is a big one that holds a lot of us back, is fear. Fear of the unknown. There can be so many different fears that create blocks for us. And there are 5 different things that I really wanted to highlight and focus on today that are keys to breaking through that fear and then ultimately breaking free into another level of empowerment. So, one of the first things has to do with awareness and the truth. So, not not everyone knows that we are actually pre-wired to look out for danger. It's something that is part of our primal brains, it's instinctual in us, and it's something that keeps us and has for thousands and thousands of years has been wired into us to keep us safe from imminent danger. Now, obviously, back in ancient times when we were dealing with um, possibly facing being meals for saber-toothed tigers, this was a different story altogether. And over all of these centuries and thousands of years, we have reached a point in humanity where our brain still is wired to keep us safe and keep us from danger. But much of our life is it's different sorts of stressors, but they're not necessarily those imminent life threatening dangers. It's just being in traffic or working on a deadline or the stress of paying bills or it could be any number of things, but it's something that is a different type of 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 fear or safety, if you will. And it's important to recognize that our brain is actually operating in this way. It's almost like this connection to our ego that's trying desperately to keep us safe. And part of what its job is and its interpretation of that job is to keep us in a status quo, in a place of what seems to be familiar, what seems to be comfortable, and we're conditioned for whatever that place is, based on years and repetition and patterns of behavior, patterns of thinking, patterns of emotion, ways that we show up in life, ways that we connect with other people. It shows up in so many different ways. But the point is that any time that we want to go outside of our comfort zone or reach for something a little bit differently, it means going into a place that our primal brain interprets as, oh, stop, that's dangerous. Well, it's not dangerous, it's just outside of our comfort zone. And so one of the things that can be so helpful is just this awareness of that existing, right? And realizing that there's a part of us that I mean, it's just trying to keep us safe. And so we can honor that part and recognize that part and be like, okay, well, thank you. And I know that this is right. And then take another step forward. But the other thing when we're dealing with some of these fears, sometimes they're really intense and they could be rooted in some kind of trauma trigger or some kind of perpetual anxiety or something that really heightens our system. Most humans, I believe, are living in some amount of fight or flight on a regular basis. And our nervous systems in mass are pretty heightened, just over generations and ancestral cycles of being heightened and not having a lot of practice and expertise in managing and emotionally regulating and managing those nervous system responses. And so one of the other things that can be important on this facet of truth is when you're facing something that is really distressing, pause, do that pattern interrupt, and recognize, okay, what is the truth in this situation? Because sometimes our thoughts and our mind racing, driven by that primal part of our brain, can just start growing like a weed in this direction that doesn't have any root in reality, but it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. It's like this, massive tumbleweed going down the road. But if we pattern interrupt that and just take a moment, it's like, okay, what is the truth? Uh, where am I? Am I safe? Like checking back into your senses and what the reality is, and kind of dissecting that and rooting yourself in the truth. And then the other piece is just realizing that fear is is something that we all face. So none of us are alone, right? I mean, that is one of the important truths here, is that facing and dealing with fear, it's a normal part of life. It's part of our human experience, and it's an opportunity that we get to master through. And also it's realizing that discernment between what is real, uh, in, as far as fear goes, what is an actual danger versus what is something that our system has just been heightened due to this conditioning to respond to and make us feel like we're unsafe, but it's really just a matter of pushing out of our comfort zone and reaching for another a level in our experience or our soul evolution. So there's that piece. And then the second part that I wanted to talk about, it has to do with our capacity. And I'm talking about our bodies and our nervous system capacity. So the more that we practice on a regular basis, really grounding and being connected to our bodies, our breath, our hearts, understanding what the sensations that we feel, like observing them, feeling into them, grounding into the earth, for example, spending time every day connecting to our senses, really coming back home to our bodies. This is something that's really important because it increases our capacity by helping us regulate our nervous system. And one of the things that regulating our nervous system does is it keeps us in a greater place of calm, and it allows us an opportunity to be able to go into some of those unknown areas, pushing into things that maybe we want to do, but they're outside of the box, and it may feel scary or uncomfortable, but we can do it anyway because we have the space to allow for that experience to come in. So if our nervous system is so wired and we're like a live wire, and there's just too much activity, too much charge, then we don't have room for those other experiences to come in, and we certainly don't have the capacity to really break through those fear barriers. So that's something that's important to keep in mind too. And then three, I wanted to remind about faith versus fear, because these are two sides of of the same coin. Really, they're both things that are rooted in beliefs, and they're also things that are connected to how we think and what we imagine. They're not necessarily things that we can prove. Faith is something that we believe, right? And fear is usually connected to facing the unknown, some kind of unknown. So when you have a belief and you continue to build trust in the universe having your back, and in that divine source, or whatever you call that creator, that energy, that higher universal power for you, that there's a greater plan, that there's this incredible experience, that we're here for something more. That piece of faith is also so important and helpful in overcoming fear, because it's through that faith that we can face the unknown, and we come to even greater levels of faith, actually. It's those incremental experiences that really root and ground us in deeper levels of faith, right? So that's another piece that I wanted to remind. So one, the aspects of awareness and truth related to fear, and then another piece that we talked about was with capacity, and our nervous system being able to ground. Another piece, for three, fear versus faith, and finding ways to really increase our faith and honoring our faith to help us to face fear, to face the unknown, to get to the other side, to be more deeply rooted in faith and those next experiences. And then another piece that I wanted to share. So for four, this is something that's important because it brings in a little bit of a celebratory piece to looking at fear. And when you think about your life's experiences, I don't know about you, but for me, if I look back on my life, a lot of the most profound, incredible experiences that I've had, they have been things that have definitely pushed me beyond my comfort zone. And sometimes this particular piece, it may be easier to look at it as far as a comfort zone thing rather than straight up fear. But if you reflect back on your experiences and you think about some of the things that have been incredible in your life, where you've experienced maybe the most happiness or adventure or growth or learning, and what are those things? And chances are you made a breakthrough of some kind. You pushed outside of your comfort zone. You went outside of the box. You basically broke through a fear to have that experience. And so the more you can relate to where those experiences have shown up in your life as things that you can celebrate, that you can honor, that you see have served you, this is a place where you can bring gratitude in, and it's so important to help you keep progressing forward and honoring those challenging moments where we're pushing through fear just feels like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? And then number five, and this is an important one, honor your journey, because we all, going back to what I was saying before, we all deal with fear. We all push through fear, and our experiences in doing that and where we're ready to go beyond into that next level is such a unique and individual experience for each of us. But one of the things that I have noticed in my own experience that I believe is true, it incrementally unfolds, and it's something that we become better and better at with greater levels of awareness, with deeper levels of healing, with more spiritual awakening. And those are all aspects of each of our journeys and our soul evolutions. And so the more we go through those and we honor our baby steps and we realize those opportunities where we can break through and we push ourselves, we tap into that deeper well of our will and that faith, like we were talking about before. There's just that next level of breakthrough that happens. And remember that fear is normal. It's something that it's about getting comfortable with that discomfort of moving to the next level. So oftentimes we hold ourselves back from our dreams and our desires because of fears. But imagine what possibilities exist for you if you continue to honor your journey and you keep listening to that next bit of awareness, that next level of healing, that next level of spiritual awakening, that next level of relationship with yourself. Anyway, I'm so glad you joined me today. And if you're enjoying this series, please subscribe, send a like. I'd love to hear what things are resonating with you and what you'd like to hear more about. And I hope you have a great week, and I will see you next time. Thanks, and here's to breaking free to that next level of empowerment.